Hello again, this is Mrs. Jacobs, and I will be showing you today GOMath Chapter 3, Lesson 3.1. So this is our first lesson into Chapter 3, which is multiplying a two-digit factor by a two-digit factor, so a 2 by 2. Teaching point, I can multiply by tens, and this is for standard 4.NBT.5. So to multiply by tens is to multiply by the multiples of tens, which are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and 90. So one of your factors will definitely be a multiple of 10. The other factor will just be any two-digit number. In class, we will only be using one strategy. That strategy is to multiply and add zeros. So even though the GOMath book mentions different strategies, we're only working on one of them. So please make sure this is the strategy that you are going to continue to practice and master. So we're going to multiply and add zeros. And we did this in chapter 2, so it should be a little familiar. So let me show you how this is done. So we have 40 times 50, and those happen to be, both factors are multiples of 10, okay? And so is 90 and 70, and so is 30 and 80. So we're going to go start with 40 times 50, and we are going to underline the basic fact, which is 4 times 5. 4 times 5 is 20. Then I notice that the 40 has 1 0 and the 50 has 1 0, so that makes 2 zeros. So I will add 2 zeros to the end of my product 20. So 40 times 50 is 2,000. And now I'm going to follow the same steps for the second and third example. So now we have 90 times 70. Again, let's identify the basic fact, which is 9 times 7. So boys and girls, we really have to know our basic facts so that we can multiply more accurately and more quickly. Okay, so 9 times 7 is 63. And then I notice that the 90 has 1 0, the 70 has 1 0. That makes a total of 2 zeros. So I get to add 2 zeros to the end of my product. Don't forget to make sure you put your comma. So ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. Okay, next one. Basic fact, 3 times 8. 3 times 8 is 24. And then again, I notice that there's 1 0 in the 30 and 1 0 in the 80. And it makes 2 zeros. So I get to add 2 zeros to my product. So the product is 2,400. Okay, so what happens if one of the two-digit numbers isn't a multiple of 10? Well, if one of them isn't a multiple of 10, then most likely we won't be using basic facts, but doesn't mean that we still can't multiply, then add zeros. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So I know from chapter 2 that I can multiply 75 times 2. And then if I do 75 times 2, then I could just add the 1 0. So let me show you that. 75 times 2. 75 times 2 is 150. So I put 150. And now I have 1 0 only. So if I only have 1 0 in my factors, then I can only take the 1 0 over. Comma, 1,500. So even though we're not using basic facts, we still are taking numbers and multiplying them and then adding the zeros at the end. Okay, so let's look at the next one. 50 times 25. Well, I really don't want to work with the 0 because I want to add that 0 to the end. So I want to solve what 5 times 25 is. And I don't know what that is, so I have to go do the work. And thanks to chapter 2, we can multiply a 2-digit by a 1-digit number. So I will show you that off to the side using traditional method. So 25 times 5 is 125. But I'm not done. Let's write 125. But then, since that 50, I didn't use the 0. I get to take that 0 on over and add it to the end of my product. And then I add my comma. So 50 times 25 is 1,250. Okay, so here's the directions. All right, I will read them to you. Directions. Copy each word problem and solve in your math notebook. Write your answer in a complete sentence. I will read each one for you. Smencils cost 90 cents each. Haley bought 30 Smencils to give her classmates. How much did Haley spend in all? So copy the problem and solve it in your notebook. You can pause the video to copy and then solve it. Then, after you have copied and solved it, unpause it to go to the next question. A pack of Kirkland AA batteries has 48 batteries. How many batteries will there be in 40 packs? Copy the question and solve in your notebook. Pause the video so that you can copy it and solve. Then when you're done, unpause to go to the next question. There are 12 mini rich frosted donuts in each box of Entenmann's. How many donuts are there in 70 boxes? Copy the problem and solve it in your math notebook. Pause the video so that you can copy and solve. And then, when you're done, unpause the video to see what's next. A surprise will be given to you in class on Monday if you draw a panda. If you do not know how to draw one, here are some step-by-step directions. Remember, Panda Bear needs to be drawn after you have completed all 3 examples, and you will be given a surprise in class on Monday. Okay? Thanks again for joining me, and I will see you tomorrow.